And we're just chatting about this. Hi. Join us. And we're just talking about what a fantastic weekend it's been. And you have to say, as far as the title race is concerned, Liverpool dropped points, Arsenal dropped points, Manchester City dropped points, and they're looking pretty adrift now for Manchester City. We're still obviously keeping an eye on them. Nottingham Forest might need to keep a little eye on. But the big winners are Chelsea. Yeah. They go up into second place. They're only 2 points. I know Liverpool got a game in hand, but they're only 2 points behind them. They've put themselves in a really, really serious position because we've talked about them, but we haven't gone, well, maybe they'll drop off, maybe they'll... Not now.
No, I mean, the start of the season when you did your predictions, I had them in the top four because of the players they had and the way they ended last season. But I think Maresca was the big question mark because we weren't sure how good he was managing a club of that level. But they've been outstanding. I mean, the biggest compliment you'd have to say for Maresca, he's managed to keep all them players happy. They're flying in the league, flying in Europe. I know a lot of the sides they've beaten, you'd probably expect them to beat, but they're in the title race for sure. Only 2 points behind Liverpool. You have to say that. You can't say they're not.
But they wasn't beating those teams last year. So, you know what I mean? Like, to make the point of what you're saying, like, I think under Poch, he laid down the foundations under Pochettino. But I think what Enzo Maresca's doing, they're all downplaying the fact they're in a title race, but they 100%, they are in a title race. I think Caicedo finally has come alive, along with Fernandes in those positions. And I think, you know, the team selection, he's been able to tinker with it in Europe. The Sussi's played in there. Tosun's gone in there as well. So I think, and Jackson is scoring goals, which he wasn't doing last year. So I think, and Cole Palmer, I mean, their list could go on. A lot of players are in a good run of form, and I think 100% Chelsea are in this title race for sure.
I think that's the point, isn't it? It's not the teams that they've beaten, as you've said. It's the performances that they've put in those games. And yes, largely, maybe Villa apart, it's teams that they should be putting those performances in. But they're delivering.
Yeah, Cole Palmer is I think he's the third highest scorer in the Premier League at the moment with 11 goals. Nicholas Jackson's now on 9 so far this season. They're the only team in the top 4 with 2 players in that top sort of 5 or 6, well, I'd say 10 actually, in terms of scoring goals. But if you look at the Southampton game where they were 5-1 winners, there were 5 different scorers in that game. So they're sharing the burden of the goals around. We saw a caption a few seconds ago of their recent run of wins, and the only one where there was a clean sheet was Aston Villa. And I think if there is something that could undo them, it's the fact that they concede goals. Even late in this game, they conceded against Brentford. And
even the Tottenham game,
exactly,
they were in control of it. It was much nervier than it needed to be at the very end.
And titles are won on defence. I know we're talking about all the goals that they're scoring.
Not according to us, as centre forwards.
Do you know, you said that people who are kind of on the fence now, you would have to say they are one of the title favourites.
There's another key thing as well. You mentioned tinkering with the European side. He can field an entirely different 11. We laughed at the number of players that were at Chelsea at the start of the season. I laughed, but we kind of said, how is he going to do it? He sends an entirely different 11 to Kazakhstan in midweek, and then he plays the Premier League side at the weekend.
But asked for a later kick-off because they were affected by the long travel, even though it wasn't the same.
And even Brentford are looking at it going, how did you pull that one off? You know, but you see, the great thing for him and Chelsea is that they're in a great position now to put that pressure on Liverpool. And I think he's almost like a younger version of Ranieri, where he jokes and he laughs and whatever else, but he knows exactly what he's doing, exactly what the target is now, because it's not top 4 anymore. It's got to be the title now that you are in that position. Where Arsenal, I think, might have the advantage is that they've got the experience of being in a title race. They've got the better defence, in my opinion. They've certainly got the better goalkeeper. But I think where Chelsea are concerned is that they've got that abandon. There's zero pressure on them. I think that they've got more points of attack, and I think they've got less pressure.
That might be the issue, as you said there with Arsenal, is that yes, they've got, I mean, we know how good Saka is. Havertz is having a good season, of course, but when you look at Chelsea, the amount of goals they've got from everywhere, I mean, it's a really poor indictment, to be fair, on 10R, because look what Jadon Sancho's doing now under Maresca. He looks like somebody who just looked like the player we saw at Dortmund before he got to Manchester
Only been
United.
a couple of games.
But still.
It's a little bit one for Man United.
That's why I'm not getting carried away.
No, but that's the thing, though. That's 2 more than we ever saw at
Acting
Manchester
like
United already. Do you know what I mean? That's 2 more than we ever saw at Manchester United. But the confidence, the goal against Tottenham, Madueke now all of a sudden, we knew the potential was there when he was at PSV. All of a sudden, now he's come to the forefront. And I look at what they're doing. And Cole Palmer, yes, is the kind of the jewel in the crown. But that midfield three as well of Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo Fernandez, that's going to take some beating, that, because they're all strong, they're all powerful and they can all play.
There's also that question of momentum, because it's not just the good performances, it's the improvement. It's that continued upward trajectory.
Yeah.
If I had my own team here, go with it. Just dipped in the pot this morning and took out anyone's. But when you look at the improvement in their performances, the improvement in the individual players, everything's going in the right direction for them.
And I don't think people realise, because at Leicester, I think Enzo Maresca came under a lot of criticism due to his they said he was quite flat in his style of play and his approach. But what I'm seeing him doing, he's able to adjust to a certain degree. And you can see in his post-match interview as well, he was not happy with the goal they conceded. He was kind of wrapped up in it. And you can see that's like an elite mentality. But I think he's doing a really good job in a short space of time, because people didn't expect... I expected Chelsea to be in the top 4 because of the squad that they have. But I do think they're doing a really good job. But it's still like teams keep dropping points, like Liverpool, Arsenal. And you say about Arsenal know what it's like to be in a title race, but they seem to always fall off when it really matters. And it's certainly like Odegaard being back for Arsenal. We'll talk about them later, but is a different level. I think that's the difference between winning the league and losing the league. But I do think this Chelsea team are right up there if they can keep everybody fit. Let me ask you this then.
So if no Odegaard, and they obviously struggle 4 games without a win, I think they lost all 4 of those games. If you were to take Palmer out of the Chelsea side, do you think it would have a similar impact?
Not as bad.
I still think it would, though.
No,
Maybe not as bad.
Why? Because there's more, again, Neto can score a goal, Sancho can score a goal, Jackson's playing really well, Noni Madueke can score goals. So there's 4 there. With the Arsenal effect, Saka will score goals, but then Havertz, maybe not. There's nothing really come from Arsenal's left-hand side in Martinelli and Trossard. Moreno can get a goal, so we're almost now trying to find someone who can get goals, where I've just given you 4 Chelsea players off the cuff.
I think that is their great strength. And you're talking about the improvement in the players. The reason why those players are able to improve is because they're guaranteed to play every week. Because what he does with the other squad is play them in Europe. So there's none of the schisms that you would have over where you've got too many players. He might be in my position. Sometimes he even plays Caicedo at right back, so that he can accommodate the other two. Enzo is scoring goals. Now, he's looking like a player who's not worried about his place, and he's playing with much more confidence. And I think those specifics of the reasons how and why he's improving those players is what's making Chelsea strong again. I still worry about that defence. That's just the key thing.
As far as Liverpool and Arsenal are concerned, over the weekend, dropped points. They both end up with just a draw at the end of their 90 minutes. Do you think they will feel the same, those results, to those sides?
Yeah, maybe slightly. I mean, maybe Liverpool not so much, because I still think they're the best team in the league. They've still got the firepower. Yes, it's a blip, but they might look at it as down to 10 men for a long spell. 2-1 down at one point, so they have come back and got a point, so they'll probably use that as a positive. I think Arsenal at home, 0-0 against Everton. Frustrated. That's why I think, and again, it's tough to say, but that's the reason why, for me, Arsenal won't win the league, because they have too many of those type of performances where they haven't got someone who can maybe step up in key moments. If they're doubling up on Saka or Odegaard quite get into the game, there's no one else that's really stepping up and getting the goals. Whereas I look at Liverpool, I mean, Salah, he speaks for himself. He's one of the best in the world still, if not the best. Him, Darwin Núñez, Gakpo, Jota comes off the bench and scores a great goal. They've just got so much firepower, Liverpool, that was just a blip at the weekend, and they've managed to get a point out of where they maybe shouldn't have done. If that's Arsenal, you just don't know where the goals are coming from.
With Arsenal, though, like the last 2 seasons, they've come close, but they haven't won anything. So it's like, at what point then, because people start, I'm not saying question Mikel Arteta, because I like Mikel Arteta, but what is success for Arsenal? Because, you know, we talk about them being close but so far. And I think for a lot of Arsenal fans, and my dad's an Arsenal fan, he's a gooner, and he's like, you know, every year they seem to get there. Like last year, it was like Southampton, the loss against West Ham. Saka missed that penalty, and everybody misses things. But like, I just feel like the mentality, there's something missing at Arsenal. I mean, I spent 12 years at that club, so I'm a Man United fan. I want Arsenal to succeed. But I just think, like, what is success for Arsenal now? Because
Arsenal set their own standards in terms of success. I remember when it was a race for the top 4, and they managed to get there ahead of Tottenham. And then suddenly they realised that they could do what Chelsea are doing this season, whereas midway through that first season where they challenged for the title, they thought we could do this, and they went for it. And since then, they've been quite unashamed about their ambitions to compete for the title. But I think one of the key things they haven't done their last 2 seasons is get a 20-goal-a-season striker. And I really do think they missed out on Ivan Toney. Could have been that guy. He probably wouldn't been as easy on the eye as people think he was, but he scored those scruffy goals, those balls across the 6-yard box that no one's able to get a foot to. You both know all about those. He would have been that guy that would have given them a plan B. I think at the moment, with this season, the way it's gone, and City falling away, this should have been the season where Arsenal were in Liverpool's position. But I look at Liverpool, I look at their firepower.
Okay, but Liverpool were 9 points clear. They're now 2 points clear of Chelsea. It's a different side that have made up ground on them. And they've drawn their last 2.
Yeah.
They conceded 3 against Newcastle. They've conceded 2 in the game against Fulham at the weekend. It's not been the controlled performances that we've been used to under Arne Slot. So are there concerns for them as well?
I don't think so, though. I don't know. There's a different feeling and a confidence about Liverpool, as much as it pains me to say it.
Is it because of what Darren said, the fact that their draw against Fulham came from 1-0 down, 2-1 down to 10 men, that there was a sort of a fighting, battling aspect.
The energy just feels different at Liverpool. I feel like when you watch them, they look like a team that's like when they won the league before under Jurgen Klopp, that's what they look like. Whoever's in there, whether it be Curtis Jones starting the game, he's having a great season. Harvey Elliott came on at the weekend. They have a lot of really good strength in depth. And I think Arne Slot's been able to implement his style in such a short space of time. And if everybody was able to be fit, like Jota's back now, came off the bench, but like they have a lot of injuries at Liverpool. But like what Benty said about Mo Salah, like, unbelievable. Like, give that man a new contract now for 5 years. I don't care. I know you laughed at me when I said that the other day. I don't care how old he is. Give him the contract. He is just on a different level. Look at him the weekend, like, bends in the ball. He's fuming, isn't he, when he don't get the ball?
I just wonder, this is me just having a little chat and speculating wildly. I just wonder if the Liverpool hierarchy might be looking at what's happening with City and some of their players in their 30s and thinking... Maybe. It can all turn so quickly. I don't know.
It's such a good point. Because
it's a great point.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Leanne. Well, Darren, do you want to...
That's right. That's all we've got time for.
Little curtsy and off I go.
No, I just think that the football, we get swept away with so much emotion. We've seen so many examples of players who have been deep in their 30s, had a sensational season. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Arsenal carried them on his back before he got a new deal, dropped off. Mesut Ozil carried them on his back before he got a new deal, dropped off. We've seen so many examples of good players. And I think it's funny because my mind's changed a bit on this. On the one hand, yes, I totally agree. Salah, exceptional. He lives his life right. We've seen examples of good players.
He doesn't look like a player who's in danger of dropping off anytime soon.
No, he's going to be okay. He's going to be all right. But I just think that Liverpool have to say, we've got to do what suits us. And what suits us is to stay fiscally intelligent and unsentimental. And maybe it might be a year with an option. Maybe it might be 2 years with an option. It couldn't possibly be any longer than that because you just don't know how things can change in a short space.